Hi, this is Lucy. I wanted to go ahead and do a day 6 of my sign language class experience a day early because starting tomorrow I'm going to be having a very busy weekend and I didn't want this video to, go up too late, I just came back from the 6th class of a sign language class, and we finally got to do some introductions. Next week we're going to be visited by a deaf person, so we need to make sure that we're in tip-top shape in terms of introductions by next week, and I'm very excited for that. We learned about different cities and states. Like, I'm from Houston, Texas. I also learned the sign for Fort Worth. It requires 2 hands, and right now one of my hands is using the camera phone. So we also talked a little bit about past experiences with people who are deaf and hearing impaired. I talked about this experience where I was a Disneyland cast member, and I met a deaf person, and he was asking me where was the best place for the fireworks, and I told him to sit right at It's a Small World. This is in Anaheim, California. Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Not Walt Disney World in Florida. Disneyland in California. I told him to sit by It's a Small World for the Disneyland Forever fireworks, which are the 60th anniversary fireworks. And I told him to sit there because there would be fireworks coming from different directions. But I didn't know the signs for fireworks, so I just went and like that, because I didn't know those signs at the time, because this was just last year. This was back in, I believe, September, October. And my teacher described that as using gestures to say what you mean, because there's not just finger spelling, which would be L-U-C-Y. There's not just finger spelling, or the Rochester method, as my teacher would say. It's not just that. You can also use gestures and your facial expressions. Your face and your body language say everything. I know I keep repeating that, but it's true, So thankfully, the guest that I was talking to was able to understand what I was saying just by my gestures. So that was great. We also talked a little bit about conversational basics with those who are deaf and hearing impaired. Like, for example, when you tell them, I'm learning sign language, many of them, I imagine, don't want to hear. Based on what we talked about with the teacher today, you really shouldn't learn sign language to help them or save them or because it's so beautiful. No, I mean, you want to learn sign language to communicate. This is just half of the sign for communicate. The other half is the other hand, doing this back and forth, but, I'm holding the camera phone. So, it's important to make sure that you're learning it for communication, not to save them, not to help them, because they're a culture. They're a cultural group. They don't think of themselves as disabled. They think of themselves as a cultural group. And when you learn to sign, you need to learn a little bit about the culture, a lot about the culture, actually, when you're signing, because they're not a disabled group. They're a cultural group. And I feel like that's a very important thing to remember. So that was pretty much the gist of it for today. We also went back over numbers. I'm getting better. I'm 23 years old, and this is 25 and 20. I'm getting a lot better at my numbers, and I'm very excited. Practice always makes perfect, but I can see the progress, and I'm very proud of myself. So yeah, very short video this time around. Next week we're going to be talking to a deaf or hearing impaired person, and I can't wait to have a conversation with her, and it's going to be great. And I will tell you guys all about it next week. Take care.